core values are being degraded, lost.
Everybody has certain talent. There, the school should tap the talent of the child. Everybody is different. The child is first to learn history. It is like, usually, it is bad in mathematics. Still, both learn as study. And he is the way. So I don't know about the rest, but I don't know if the rest I think it must be different.
Okay, what I can pick up from the two gentlemen that have shared from the first person is that you should foster strength in your children, internal strength which will give them the resilience to go through a changing world with all the complexities and the conflicts that offers. And I think from what you are saying is also to keep abreast of whatever is happening, their children's needs and the changing world, so that you can let go of your own expectations, which might be sometimes or very often rooted in the past or based on the way the world was when you were living in it, and then see it from a new perspective, the child's perspective.
Right. I have a 3 or 4-year-old kid and sit in front of the computer and handle it.
Right.
Parents will not know ABC.
I think that's a very valid point, because the world is changing so fast. We see nowadays very young children are very much more mature and they are much more technologically savvy than what we used to be. You know, like because the way the world is changing and nature is also giving them those skills, and you know, they're being born. My 3-year-old niece, she can use. Nobody's taught them, but this is evolution, no? So nature is, we are born with certain skills based on our environmental needs. So the children today are being much more technologically savvy than some years back, because this is the world they're going to live in. Computers and internet and mobiles. So they have to be adapted to live in the world like that.
So nature gives them that strength.
Yeah, it's an evolutionary process. So they're born with better technical skills than we were, because I think our environment that time was different. Anybody from this side, ladies, want to share something?
And the relationship between husband and wife versus different. How to engage.
Right. So when we are talking about parents being responsible, we are talking about adults. When you're talking about adults, adult and child, obviously adult is more responsible. And the onus lies on the adult, because adult should have the maturity, the knowledge and whatever else. With his experience, he should be able to guide the child. The child is still raw, still young, and is under your guidance and your direction. So you can't expect that the child should know it. Because I've seen many adults, parents I'm not using because don't want to get in that parent-child trap. Adults, many are functioning, they may be grown up in age, but mentally, my God, they can be younger than a child. They'll get into ego battles and with a child, and he's doing like this and he's doing like that, and you know, they don't understand that the whole idea of being an adult is you conduct yourself, firstly you grow to that stature of being an adult. And the second thing is you conduct yourself in that stature. You don't get into these kind of quarrels with children, because you are the person who has to give direction to the child. The child is not grown up enough, and you are still getting to the child's level and getting into that quarreling.
Let me tell you my experience.
There's only one child. I have to. You have a different experience.
Now he is adult, well educated. Now he is a very good IQ, EQ. We have involved him right from the age of 4 to 5 till adulthood. All decisions, I mean, wherever we take, not that he is small or he may not know.
Right.
He may express, he may agree or may not agree, but at that time process, we have involved him. Even I gave him money to buy many times. Let him be, I mean,
Right.
He should learn the process.
Right.
And he should feel the cohesiveness, the bridge existing. For him, that he is a part of the family.
Right.
So from the beginning, if we keep definitely that cohesiveness.
Right. See, taking in what you are saying and also repeating the point that I was mentioning earlier, when you have not grown yourself fully as an adult, then you are not in a position, firstly you get into these kind of quarrel modes with the child, which is a child part of your personality, which is quarreling with the actual child out there. So that maturity is lacking. And then you are not obviously in a position to guide the child. So I'm saying my invitation to anybody who's facing very conflicting kind of relationship with your teens or your children is like to at least examine your own personality and see, am I coming from a very child ego state of mind, or am I coming from an adult ego state?
And this applies not to parenting, it applies to other things as well. That you give respect, love. If you want respect, you give respect. If you want love, you give love. Why would you become father and son?
Right.
So most parents say, "My dear Babu," that is not serve the purpose.
Right. Do not take your parenting role for granted. Don't think that there's certain authority which comes with being a parent. I mean, you have to rule by example. I mean, your words, the way you conduct yourself, everything itself should have an impact on your child, and not that, okay, I do anything what I want, but who are you to question me, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, because many things the child finds that what you're doing, what you're telling them is totally opposite to what you yourself are doing, which itself becomes a big reason of conflict. Because, you know, we often say that it's okay, you don't have to go by what I'm saying, you do what I'm telling you to do. So I think a lot of personal growth issues open up here, you know. Okay. We all love our children, and yet, you know, often the love remains within our hearts and it is seldom expressed in behaviors. So the first thing that you will work is that notice your child's unique achievements, academic and non-academic, their good behaviors, and you must appreciate it, verbally appreciate it, physically appreciate it, say good things, because you are fostering to their self-esteem. We often feel that, okay, I am doing it, but sometimes we don't realize it just remains in our heart and it doesn't come out. But it can be the other way around also, even from children towards the parents. The teenagers, surprisingly, nobody has turned up. I thought if some parents came with teenagers, then, you know, it helps because they also learn what you are learning. So these are some common words we use, like shabash and bahut acha, keep it up, or whatever else. The second thing is, do not point faults all the time. You know, we fail to appreciate, and it's a double fault because then we keep pointing faults all the time. So we become like Hitlers, you know, in their minds. Give constructive criticism. I mean, be descriptive in what you don't like. If your child is doing something that you don't like, describe it. Say that you're doing so and so thing, and this will be the consequences of what you're doing, and this is how I feel because you're doing that. Don't say you are like this and you are like that and you're always like this, because those kind of things are going straight, you know, into their very fragile self-esteem, and they're quite vulnerable. They may show that they're very strong and they're very this thing, but children's minds are quite vulnerable and quite impressionable. So they may be very rebellious on the outside, but it will hurt them a lot. And you are the most important person, whether it's mother or father. And their world, I mean, you are their creators. So imagine it's like your God is turning behind and telling you that, you know, this is the way I think about you.
Useless is this not negative?
Yeah.
And you are wasting your time by doing that as a positive.
Yes, yeah.
And what he said, both are functions. You are wasting your time by doing that. There's nothing wrong saying that.
Useless is the I'm saying, because you're labeling the child. Useless, you're good for nothing.
How do you, say, use the word useless, how do you,
You just describe the behavior that you find that is faulty. You say that you're wasting your time, your valuable time by doing this activity, whatever the activity may be. Yeah, and give a better thing that how can you do something, like give a positive kind of what do you say? Give a positive alternative to what the child is doing. Because sometimes the child doesn't know what to do. Like let's say, you know, like he's just feeling bored. His mind is not getting into the studies and he doesn't know what else to do. So he'll be doing something which will tire him out instead of relax him. So do you tell him that you're doing this to relax yourself, but actually your mind is still working at it? You're playing a video game or whatever it is that the child is doing, and say that this is going to tire you out. Why don't you try listening to some music? Why don't you just try doing some deep breathing or go for a walk or actually go to sleep for some time? So give a useful alternative. I mean, the whole idea in these tips for parenting is that you mentally firstly tune into the child's experience, the way the child is and the way he is experiencing perspective, and then you will be able to give advice which is useful.